Hey, it's Cinnamando and the girls.
Howdy, howdy.
Hi.
We're going into a comfort zone area, which is number 1 horror, number 2 Flanagan. That's all.
And for me, 3,
You have 3.
Christopher Pike young adult adaptation.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
What else did Christopher Pike write?
Oh my
Everything.
gosh.
Put you on the
They all
spot.
had really bland names like the Lifeguard or like
Yes.
Final Exam. Like they were proto slashers. So like if you were interested at all in like horror genre at the age of say like 9, like I just wanted to read it all. Like give it all. But we'll talk about this. They pulled punches a lot. Christopher Pike was not one to do that. He was sort of like the Clive Barker of the young adult novel.
It's like his movies,
I didn't know that
or
existed.
his books were literally like Remember Me, right?
Remember Me,
that
that was a good one, yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they were very vaguely titled, but yeah.
Or like
that may be
Spookyville or something. No, I don't know.
We're talking.
Isn't
So
that-
R.L. Stein is sort of the king of this,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So if you're familiar
I've
with
heard
like Goosebumps, that's for the younger set, or Fear Street, which we had an awesome Netflix.
I love Fear Street.
Then he did that like Curtains.
Yes.
Like when he got a little bit like darker or more young adult-esque.
That was
and that kind of like series. He branched out of Goosebumps a little bit.
I loved the cheerleader trilogy.
Yes.
Okay.
It was good. The babysitter trilogy was also good. Very, very slasher driven.
I love slashers.
Yeah.
I think that's why I liked Fear Street too, because it's very slasher.
Yeah. And that was awesome. That adaptation on Netflix was great.
So good.
But I think, Lara, you're correct in that opened the door sort of for this kind of wave. I'm here for it of film adaptations or serialized. I cannot talk today.
Yeah.
Versions of these young adults, kind of like pulp novels of like the 90s.
Yes.
80s and
Yeah.
90s.
I mean, I used to literally just go to the library and just like scan them all. And I only like read the ones where like because you only do it by the book cover. You don't like read the back of it. You're just like, that book cover looks great.
Yes.
That one.
I was always drawn to like the bright covers that like had like some type of like lipstick or something like sexy on the cover.
Yes.
And be like, I remember there was one, they would do like what did he call them? Double chillers. They were the Christmas editions or the Halloween. And he would do like, this one's called like Santa's Kiss or something, but it's like all bloody. And it's like about this girl, Tiffany, works at the mall, and she like puts lipstick on to go on a hot date one night, and there's a razor blade in it. And I was like, my mind just blown, like straight up. But so the Midnight Club, when I heard they were doing an adaptation of this, I just like was so excited because this is, and then it kind of made sense that Mike Flanagan was doing it because it's such a weird story. And I read in an interview with him that this was one that just always like spoke to him, which I feel like he and I would just be great for him.
Oh, I love him.
Right? Like I checked this one out from the library in the 90s, read it, and was like, this is dark as shit. Like it really goes places because of the terminal illness sort of lane that it's in, like, because it's in a hospice home for children is where it's set.
Yeah,
we'll see how faithful he stays to the story too. I actually read it a few years ago just as like what did I used to read when I was like 11, and it's
that's interesting.
Still strange. Still
see, it's interesting to know that existed because I didn't like any of the YA stuff because I was just too hardcore, and I feel like when I watched that, I don't say that as a compliment. I say as a person, and I wanted stuff. I hated that they played it so safe, so I wanted stuff that went right to the heart of it, which is why I like Clive Barker and Stephen King. They would get really nasty.
You're talking to people who like by the time I was 13 it was like Gerald's Game, and like I was like moved on, but like I did. It was like my like soap opera, just like kind of like trash reading to still read I would totally read these, but like they weren't like
in
the books
forefront.
I was loaning to friends and being like this whole
you're like secretly reading it a book in a book, right?
This was like my like
no, but you don't have to know this.
As a high schooler, right?
Do you remember when you did you had to like cover your like textbooks, your school books? Does anyone remember that, right?
Yes.
With the paper or whatever.
Yes.
So I'd always like cover my book like
that's funny.
That's how I was able to sneak from the attic all of my mother's Harlequin romance midnight novels, which were some like mystery thing, and I'd just be like wrapping this up, like no one needs to know.
I feel like he did so we loved Midnight Mass, if anyone hasn't seen
yes.
it.
That is on the list still.
And
I know.
I really what? I like really
fired. Get out of here.
He did like the Haunting of Hill House, like kind of like
perfect.
series. Oh my god! So
that's the best one, really, so far.
Good.
So far, well, so Midnight Mass was like, I don't
know. I consider
better.
Midnight Mass almost different because it's not like one of those classic house ones he's done.
So
but yes, you're right. Midnight
Mass. I really
want
top. This to be like in that like
game
playing level, like that. Just because, and then he did Fear Street, which was fantastic. Like every single one just got better and better. But you saw where he was.
Wait, Flanagan did do Fear Street.
Jane, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, I just know because I read so much about the Fear Street trilogy. That was it was a woman. Lee Jane.
Oh, it was the woman. Mm-hmm. It was right. But he did. Maybe I read like an interview. Maybe he produced it about like where he got.
Well, they immediately. You might be thinking of this because they immediately started talking about his involvement with this project.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
I can see
feel
you getting
like
confused.
You see where maybe he's like. It's almost like he's being told, like, "Hey, stay in this lane," because
that might be happening. So I wonder if Netflix didn't decide that they were going to like play in this space, and that there's thousands of titles that they can go through, like Lois Duncan, Richie Tankersley Cusick. Like, there's so many of them. There's so many of these guys playing like on the same field with this stuff.
Wow.
Right.
So they've got source material for days.
Yeah.
It feels like Netflix was like, oh, this is working. We want to order some more of these. And who can we attach to it? Who do we have like history and a good relationship with, and who has done very well in like the genre space? And that would just totally naturally lead them to Flanagan.
It's like, hey, Flanagan, you're in house. Do it.
I'm not mad. Yeah.
I'm not mad. Anytime Flanagan's attached, I'm going to check it out. So
for sure.
I'm very interested to see how this goes because it's not a classic.
Okay, so I'm going in super cold. I just reread this book like 2 years ago. I'm psyched.
Okay, good. I'm very anxious to see what you guys think of this. Okay, here you go. You ready? Here we go.
I'm going to Stanford in the fall.
You need to celebrate it. Break a few rules, I think. Just like once in your life.
I was about to say.
Are the odds in my favor?
So much for that.
It's not quite that simple. Can you say the real name again, please?
Papillary thyroid carcinoma.
Thyroid cancer.
That's like exactly what I imagined the house to look like.
It looked just like Haunting of Hill House.
Welcome to Wycliffe. Every living day here is a win.
How long have you all been here?
4 months for me.
5.
3.
They're all hot.
63 days, 17 hours, and 11 minutes.
You don't know the minutes.
I'm going to die.
All of us here are dying.
This is a hospice? My parents told me this was a boarding school.
What's in the basement?
I dare you.
No, he doesn't.
It takes a lot to scare me.
No, wait, don't. Don't actually go down there.
What is this?
It's kind of a club.
You guys sneak into the library every night and
make ghosts.
Tell stories.
Make ghosts sounds better.
Welcome to your first official night in the Midnight Club.
there's so many stories about this place. Stories about people who thought they were gonna die but didn't.
I want to live.
We do not get to change the outcome.
I don't care what it costs. If there's a way to save us, I'd burn the world down.
You need to stop. And don't put yourself and all of us in real danger.
To those before, to those after, to us now, and to those beyond.
The skeleton.
It's like the same font. That's cool.
It is the same font. Oh, I'm on board for this. 100%.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm in.
It actually looked kind of better the second time through.
I love it.
But I think part of it too, and I'll blame the trailer cut for this, is that I hate the font that they're using in the glowy type, super cheap. I hate the constant like trendy rock music in the background. Like, make sure this sounds cool and hip. Hated that. That did
they're
not
putting
feel
this in a place and time. So what is curious to me, I wonder if they're going to set it, because what year, I'm going to look it up right now, late 80s, I think is when the book was written.
Originally. I'm pretty
didn't
positive.
Feel 80s, did it?
Well, it's 90s.
Okay.
It was, I feel like it was 90s.
No cell phones, basically. We're trying to get into a time where there's no cell phones. no smartphones.
That does make it easier on a horror story.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't really pay attention to the computer that she was on. That probably would have told us a lot.
It's definitely the 90s. And I feel like...
94. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because that, if you think... So the soundtrack, I mean, 100% screamed like...
90s?
100%. Like grunge, like era 90s, right? Yeah. 90 to 96 ish.
Yeah. I guess it just maybe I feel like we didn't need two songs. I feel like it didn't have that Flanagan elegance. Like it looked like anybody could. It didn't look like Flanagan. Anybody could have done that. It didn't look Flanagan-y to me, did it?
And I feel like that the extra horror element, right, that he's starting to bring in. Is it a series? Is that what we're doing?
It is, yeah.
Right. So I feel like it's gonna just I feel like it'll just get better. Like they're using the trailer to get all of the people who won't watch it.
He's good at that, like
right?
Reeling in.
But then, because I feel like that's the American Horror Story, right? So you, not every episode is entertaining or good necessarily.
Mm-hmm. So answer me this question about I'm sorry, did I interrupt your thought?
No.
So is this going to be each person tells a story and we're going to see a little anthology horror vignette? Because we didn't see any of that in there as far as I could tell. I mean, I didn't see any look like the scary story they were trying to tell. Was there?
That is sort of how. So the book is not set up like an anthology. Like it doesn't go. You don't dissolve your main characters and go straight into like an actual like sub story. They will tell stories where you are aware of like what happens in it. I'm sure it'll be almost like flashbacks. Like it won't. It probably won't devolve into like an actual like here's a short story. Here's a short story.
Yeah, because I think I feel like that's how like every episode would go that way, right? So they get into the club because
that's sort of like the Midnight Society, which is like Afraid of the Dark.
Yes,
it's just the real nerds
get together and you tell a story. I was literally going right there. I'm like,
or if you want to go back and sound classier, you could say Ghost Story by Peter Straub. Same thing. But,
instead of sitting by a campfire and telling scary stories, we are literally in the basement,
lounging around our hospice house.
Cult, hospice.
Wanting to figure out a way to live forever. Yeah. So. Yeah. And also I'm looking at a still from this show and it is like those little square Macs, little tiny little baby first like Mac, the original
they're
Mac.
Keeping it set in the.
But did we have internet? Like I know there was a version of the internet then, but
no,
I guess they'll probably, if it's Flanagan, it'll be accurate probably, but the internet was probably pretty small and
the 90s
there was no
internet.
It was like Juno email and like you were like going to some glittery
that was definitely a website like building block like
so you
wasn't born yet.
So your chances of finding good information are probably pretty slim. So that's good because they won't, but she was typing in and I guess it did look really bitmappy, like it was a bad screen or something, so that was kind of interesting. Okay, well maybe well when I compared this to the Cabinet of Curiosities, which is the Guillermo del Toro one, that was whole next level. Like this looks cute and this will be fine, but that one looks like that's what I thought this was going to look like, and it was
I mean, I'm secretly an 11-year-old girl. There's something on the core of me that just wants like vampire paranormal romance, and like I'm kind of here for any of these.
Yeah. I'm definitely watching. It's not a horror thing I won't watch, even if I don't think it looks good. I'll watch it. I have a very low bar for anything horror, especially October is my favorite month because
I know,
it is horror wall to wall.
Spooky season.
Hellraiser, Midnight Club, Cabinet of Curiosities, and everything else that's coming out.
I know. I have so many films to catch up on because I've been watching all these Indian films.
They're not short.
No,
Indian films, they're very long. It's like watching 3 films.
I can crank out like 3 normal films.
3 episodes of this is 1 Indian film. And also India is lacking a little bit in the horror genre. They need to do more of those.
Thank you. I would love somebody to give us a list of true horror, not horror comedy. I want a horror movie.
I know of like 3 really good Indian horror movies I will give you.
Okay,
and that's it. I know also very good horror comedies, but go ahead, Lara. Lara, she's like, I gotta say something.
No, I was trying to not
choke. She's about to tell her ghost story. Everyone.
I've never.
All right, so
for your
I actually got you guys kind of talked me more into it. I'm a little more interested now. And Flanagan directs the first 2 episodes, so that kind of gives it even more credit, and it makes sense because he's probably going to lead us into it and give these characters a lot of background. And you're probably going to talk to them, get to know them, and then he's going, okay, let these other directors take the lead.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. But
as somebody who this story resonated with in the 90s, again, a couple of years ago, like I am interested to see what he does with something that resonated with him as well. Like it's such a strange little story. Like it'll be cool.
Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe. I did like this jumpy scares and that scream sound effect that they use in every horror movie to try and scare you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a trailer. I mean, I'm not going to try and judge the movie by that because that's probably the trailer.
Also, I mean, is it not spooky enough that like, oh, you're going to boarding school?
Right.
I mean,
also,
hospice.
Like,
and everyone else there is dying also, just so you know.
Girl,
well, that bothered me enough in the book.
I'm confused that you don't know.
And they were all very good-looking terminal patients.
Well,
very good.
Naturally.
Of course. They're the 40-somethings taking their shirt off in the teen films.
Everybody watch Never Have I Ever on Netflix as well. It's the cutest damn thing. It's a delight.
Everybody in this film is 35.
Yes.
All right. So you guys let us know what you think of Midnight Club. It's out very soon. It's part of the
Spooky
wonderful horror month of October.
Yay.
Spooky season.
We love it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye.